Last week, the Union External Affairs Minister of India, Dr. S. Jaishankar, went to Armenia, and from there he tweeted that he was delighted to know about the connection between that country and his home state of Tamil Nadu. What is that connection between that little known nation and our state? That is what we are going to see today. Come, let us explore the Armenian connection. Before we go into that, we need to know where Armenia is. It is a landlocked country on the western side of Asia, located between Azerbaijan and Turkey. Historically, you will notice that if a country is not blessed with natural resources, people from that place leave and go and prosper in other countries. Our own Chettinad is an example. Shivaganga and Ramanathapuram are places devoid of natural resources, and so the Nagaratars went out and made their fortunes elsewhere. Similarly, the desert province of Rajasthan is from where the Marwadis came and made their fortunes in other parts of India. The Armenians were no different. Over the centuries, they traveled to various parts of the world and became huge business successes. In Tamil Nadu, we get to know that the first Armenian to come was one Thomas Kana, who came here in the 8th century. It is recorded in Armenia that he came to Malabar. Today, Malabar may be Kerala, but in the old days, it included all that is present-day Tamil Nadu, and therefore we can assume that he came here. What happened after that for quite some time we don't know, but from the 17th century, we are able to see an increasing Armenian presence. It is also very interesting to see that while the Dutch, the French and the British were warring with each other, they held the Armenians in very high regard. That is because the Armenians had no political ambitions. They only wanted to focus on their business. And what was the nature of the business that they were doing? They were trading in rosewater, silk, dry fruits, gold, precious stones and silver. And many of them prospered and became exceedingly wealthy. There was a continuous Armenian presence in Bombay, in Delhi, in Calcutta, in Hyderabad, in Srirangapatna, in Madras, in Nagapatnam, in Pondicherry, in several other parts of the country. In the city of Chennai, the British held the Armenians with such affection that they gave them permission to build houses inside Fort St. George. When the numbers increased, the Armenians formed a street for themselves in Georgetown, and that became Armenian Street. An extension of Armenian Street is Coral Merchant Street. That is because the Armenians also traded in precious stones. Gradually, the Armenians desired to build a church of their own. The British gave permission, and in Armenian Street, a wooden structure was built in 1712. In 1772, this was replaced with a stone, brick and mortar church which still stands today by the name of the Armenian Church. Sadly, there are no Armenians left in the city except for a few who have come here as professionals. The last Armenian burial in that church was in the 1850s. But going inside that church is a very interesting experience. You just need to see, as soon as you enter, it is the silence that first strikes you. In the midst of congested Georgetown, you find that this church is a haven of silence and peace. You go inside and then you come to two exceedingly thick doors carved in the 18th century itself. You then wander inside, you come to a bell tower. If you climb up, you will find that there are 5 bells cast in the 18th century in the foundry of Thomas Mears and Sons, London. It was the same foundry that supplied the bells to the Westminster Abbey, the St. Paul's Cathedral, and it also supplied the Liberty Bell in Philadelphia. It is from that place that we got the 5 bells that are today there in the Armenian church. You can then go into the church itself and then you can wander around the yard. In the yard are buried several Armenians. Just by looking at the tombstones, you can make out what business they were into. If it was a rosewater supplier, you will find a Yuva. If you find there are precious stones carved on it, or there is a scale you know that they were dealing in gold and precious stones. Some places you will find a rug carved and you know that they were rug dealers. That then was the history of the man or the woman who lies under that particular tombstone. And then walking along, you come to a memorial that looks like an open book. When you look into it, you find the word Az-Darar carved on it. That was the first Armenian periodical. Indeed, it was the first Armenian publication. And that was in 1794, brought out by a missionary, the Reverend Aratun Road. He created the first Armenian printing press in the whole world, and he brought out the first Armenian periodical from this city. To honor this, the Armenian country released a postage stamp, and that was the postage stamp that was given to Dr. Jaishankar. All around India, there were several vestiges of the Armenians, but there is hardly anything left in most of the places other than Chennai. In Chennai, we have an Armenian street, we have an Armenian church, and then we have several other valuable finds. One is the Marmalan Bridge, which today we recognize as the Maraimalai Adigal Bridge, which connects Gindi and Saidapet. The bridge has changed quite a bit, but in the 18th century, it was Koja Petrus Uskan, an Armenian, who built it for the first time. All Armenians, incidentally, in India are known by the word Koja, which basically means a foreigner. It was also Koja Petrus Uskan who built the flight of steps leading to the St. Thomas Mount. Uskan himself is buried in his own personal chapel, which we today know as the St. Matthias Church in Veperi. And then in Santome, in St. Rita's Church on Santome High Road, you have a small stone let in which is visible from the main road. It says in memory of the Armenian nation. That once again was in the 1790s. Finally, in Royapuram, you have Aratun Road. Aratun is a corruption of the Armenian name Aratun. Clearly, there must have been a rich Armenian merchant in that area. In Georgetown, you have Gregory Street, and that commemorates Koja Gregorios Agaperi, who was once again an Armenian merchant. So lots of Armenian memories in this city. It's quite interesting to reflect that after so many years, these small memorials still exist. But what is amazing is the way the Armenian church is maintained. When there are hardly any Armenians, how is that possible? The Armenian diaspora across the whole world has established a fund to maintain this Armenian church. There is even a caretaker there. And every day between 9 and 5, the church is open for people to go and visit. If you haven't done it up to now, you must go. Otherwise, you're missing a great opportunity. If you like this channel, like it, comment on it, and subscribe to it. Thank you, and I'll soon be back with more stories on the history of our land. Bye for now.